Welcome to the Greatest Love Story podcast. The greatest love story is the one that humanity is living right now, even as the horrors of war, corruption, and hatred threaten to separate us from the truth, which is that love is the most powerful force we have, and through it, we can wield change in the world and in our lives. Join us for conversations that uplift the transformative power of love. I'm your host, Coach Rachel Kay. I'm testing out the video feature on Substack, so please bear with me if it's a little inelegant. I was reading news headlines the other day, and I have no recollection of which headline it was in particular. It was something where the Trump administration is deflecting responsibility, generally wreaking havoc on working class people. But I remember thinking with a feeling of frustration and horror at the injustice that I was seeing, you are all going straight to hell. This isn't one of my, more equanimous thoughts. But immediately after, what I thought was, these people are already in hell, but they're trying to drag us down with them. And when I think about that, the Trump administration and the billionaires who are taking advantage of it are not well-adjusted, secure people. They thrive on attention and proximity to power, which are two things that are fleeting and completely outside of our control. And the hunger for those things is insatiable. It's like a sieve. It can never, ever be fully satisfied. It just runs out of the bottom and it needs more and more and more. And what can be frustrating is these are people who are really good at looking like they're confident and having a great time. And I know that they are not. People who are secure don't need to tear other people down. They don't need to create drama. They do not need to hoard resources and wealth. They don't need the constant validation of attention. They don't need to control other people or the world around them. They don't need to assert their superiority over other classes, women, races, and people who don't agree with them. These are people who run on fear and they don't even realize it. And the image that keeps coming up for me when I think about this are a bunch of feral rats fighting over a pizza crust. They're convinced that the pizza crust is the thing that they need to survive. It's the most important thing in the world. And they're convinced that everybody wants the pizza crust. But there's other food. And, part of me is regretting committing to this metaphor. There's other food and there's plenty of it, but they've chosen the pizza crust and they can't bring themselves to let go of it because the fear is if they let go for a second to turn and look around and see what else could be there, they'll lose hold on that little piece and they'll be left with nothing. And so again, it's fear that keeps them squabbling over the pizza crust. And in this case, the pizza crust, I'm honestly curious what you think the pizza crust is. And I do want to be clear, like we all have a pizza crust that we're holding on to, that we're convinced is, really important. And if we, just let ourselves let go and look around a little bit, we would see a completely different reality. There are a lot of things to live for outside of avoiding what we fear. Power has gotten conflated with attention. And part of this is like social media era. The attention economy is a real thing. We've equated attention with having power and influence. And, within the Trump administration, the attention is also coming directly from Trump, who's their daddy in this case, right? And they're highlighting all of the dysfunctional ways that we interact with power in the collective. When we feel powerless, we're more likely to completely disconnect from love and seek power and control. That's what's happening in the administration. With billionaires, and it's also what's happening within all of us. So I really encourage us to reflect on the ways that we are also feeling powerless and therefore disconnecting from love and trying to control. And I'm going to share a quote from Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, who's going to come up a lot in this podcast. One of my favorites from him. Where love rules, there is no will to power. And where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. The interplay of love and power is at the center of all of our relationships, not only to each other and ourselves, but also to the world around us. And again, the reason for that interplay of love and power being at the center, is because they're shadows of each other. Love, or eros, is about relatedness. So connection, empathy, union, seeing the ways that we're the same. Power, or logos, is about differentiation and movement. So, union we think of as a sort of stillness, like this is where I am. Power, or logos, is really about progress. It's about like moving something or moving in a direction. We all project power as outside of ourselves sometimes. And honestly, I'd say most of the time. We think our family has power over us, our employers, or our governments, or the laws themselves. But just as we have access to unlimited love within us, we also have access to unlimited power within us. I'm not intending to deny the effects of systems that maintain a lower class, that maintain sexism and racism. All of those things are real. And when we always project power as outside of ourselves, we are denying that we also have access to power. So we also project love outside of ourselves. So we might need the external validation of our parents' love, or our employer's praise, or our friends' approval, or our romantic relationships' desire in order to feel that we're safe. I think it's important because it's really easy to think this is a podcast about love and love stories. And so I must be on the side of love. But I think it's important to point out that love on its own, eros, doesn't achieve anything. It's at one with the universe. It's at peace and bliss and contained. That's not wrong, but it has no yearning or appetite. So it's the baby in the womb that's receiving everything it needs in complete safety and trust. So I want to validate that this is a wonderful feeling. We all crave it at least sometimes. But when we're in that state, there's a way that we're sort of pressing power into the unconscious. We're denying that it's there. And it has a sneaky way of hijacking bliss. Without our conscious acknowledgement of the power that has to accompany love, we'll find ourselves under power sway without even realizing it. So we might become controlling towards what we love, our partner, our children, even our business. We might give unsolicited advice, we'll overgive, we'll become passive aggressive to try to get them to change their behavior. We'll fight to be right instead of to understand each other and connect. And the power hijack doesn't only apply to our relationships. Our once peaceful meditation practice might become so rigid and disciplined that we only feel the pressure of perfectionism. The job that we were once passionate about begins to drain us instead of fuel us. The exercise practice that once brought us joy and a sense of accomplishment can become a place where we flagellate ourselves with shame and disappointment when things don't go according to plan. Love is always accompanied by power, even if we don't want it to be. When we deny power or suppress it, it bubbles up in these unconscious and often destructive ways. But where love achieves nothing because it wants nothing, power achieves nothing meaningful on its own. Exerting power for its own sake is about control. Control creates an illusion of safety, but love as the shadow of power will draw someone who is consciously power driven to destructive forms of expansiveness and release. Love as unconscious eros energy can also show up as addiction. So the tropes of the high achieving lawyer who develops a substance abuse problem to blow off steam, the workaholic who becomes addicted to porn or can't tear themselves away from online gaming, that supermom who binge eats at night, or the government official who has illicit affairs. Jungian analyst Robert Moore called this the addicted lover. Love expands and connects, while power directs and focuses. We tend to wield our power to direct and focus away from what we fear or towards what makes us feel comfortable and safe. When it comes to our relationships, we might hold our truth because we're afraid of conflict, or we might criticize in order to get our partner to change. That's using our power through fear. When we engage in love's expansiveness as we wield power in our relationships, we speak our truth respectfully and as an invitation to create together instead of trying to change our partner. We give ourselves the gift of collaboration, of finding a creative third option to what often feels like a black and white issue. Ultimately, we trust in our ability to weather the unknown. If we can let go of the pizza crust, we can dance with love and power instead of clinging to myopic view of what matters. Much of the conflict that we experience comes from our inner relationship with love and power. Can I trust love? Can I trust power? Love and power are these intense forces we're contending with. And so, in both cases, I see the root fear as being one of overwhelm. Like, can I survive love? And can I survive power? Can I survive someone else's power? Can I have power while someone else does? Will they overpower me? Will I harm someone if I exert my power? Then there's, can I survive my own power, my own greatness? What about me will have to change if I desire to wield my power? And then if we think about love, can the I that's here now survive if I let love work in my life? What if love changes or leaves? What will happen to me then? Here's the thing, our ego uses fear to motivate our behavior. We create defenses against love and power in order to stay safe, which is honestly code for remaining the same. Fear may tell us that power is bad and we should never exert our power. It may tell us that love is a trap. It may convince us that what we're passionate about is stupid and will never work. Fear keeps us trapped in our sameness. It prevents us from moving forward in our life and from staying connected to our loved ones through rupture. Which is, if you haven't seen it, I wrote about the creative tension of conflict, that creative power that's there in tension. And it's talking a lot about this. So if you're interested in conflict in particular from this perspective, definitely check it out. Our ego fears transformation because it will require parts of ourselves to die. So when we ask, can I serve? Our ego fears transformation because it will require parts of us to die. So when we ask, can I survive fully embodying love and power in my life? The answer is no. We can't survive. We have to change. Something about us has to die in order to step into love and power. I mentioned in the last podcast episode, the person who stands at the top of the mountain is not the same person who stands at the bottom of it. Love as a transformative force changes us. And when we change, we're often called to use our power in service of that change. Perhaps it calls us to show up differently in our relationships. Maybe we realize we must speak our truth more, stand up for what we believe in, or be more patient, less controlling, or less critical. Perhaps it calls us to create something to help other people. We might begin volunteering or write a book or start a business. There's no official formula for what this has to look like. Each of us will find over and over again the ways in which we've denied our power or agency, or ways that we've become over reliant on it, and the ways that we have pushed love away or grasped it too tightly out of fear. Our lives are our lo- blah, blah. Our lives are a dance between love and power. Learning to wield them in partnership with each other is how we fulfill our life purpose. It's how relationships flower beyond what we thought was possible. It's how communities and organizations achieve their goals. My challenge to us all is to begin to notice the ways we're creating hell for ourselves and for others. Where are we so invested in comfort that we're closing our hearts to possibilities that put us out of our comfort zone? Where are we attached to being seen in certain ways so that we have to control what's around us to ensure that we're seen that way? Where are we missing trust in love and power? If you haven't seen it yet, on Instagram on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, I am hosting 10 to 15 minute meditations. They're guided by me. They're very short. They don't take up the whole 10 to 15 minutes. And the idea is I want to provide a place where you can land exactly as you are and leave feeling a little bit more calm, grounded, a little more connected to yourself. This is a service that I'm providing, just because I want to. I'm called to do it. And so I hope you'll join me. I'll include in the show notes my Instagram handle. You can follow me and then you'll get notifications when I go live. Take very good care out there.